you're anti-trans.
Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah. How long is it? 14. That's all right. The XX files.
Now MPs
Okay, I'm watching wait, is this?
are allowed to have.
You filmed your own TV, you fucking reprobate. Why?
Sex Matters, which campaigns on these issues, and by Robin Moira.
Okay, this also sounds like shit, but it's at least better. Maya Forstater versus Robin Moira White. Yes, this is a trans woman.
Sex Matters, which campaigns on these issues, and by Robin Moira White, a barrister and author who's written a book.
Oh my god, I've been saying it right, Moira. Unless she's going to correct her. Ooh. Nonce pin. Sorry, that's a joke. You're not a nonce.
About transgender law. Welcome to both of you. Maya, why did you set up this petition calling for the legal definition of sex to be changed?
To make the Equality Act clear so that it protects everyone's rights. There are already protections in the Equality Act for transgender people. It's called gender reassignment, and there are protections against sex discrimination for both men and women, which come originally from the Sex Discrimination Act. And when the Equality Act added gender reassignment, it didn't mean to destroy women's rights. Those two characteristics, just like others, age, disability, and so on, are different characteristics. And so what we're asking the government to do is just to make clear that sex in the Equality Act means sex, and that if you have a gender recognition certificate, which is a certificate that lets people, for example, get married in a different legal sex or to collect a pension, that doesn't change their sex for the purposes of sex discrimination protection.
Yeah, it's thoroughly exposed and deeply offended. Fair enough. I've seen, I think, 2 debates that Robin Moira White has been in, and she says nothing most of the time. She's an obfuscator, is how I'd describe her. But hey, let's see.
Robin, why did you sign the second petition, which said the law shouldn't be changed?
Well, sex under the Equality Act
This person's trans? I never would have guessed.
is more complex than biological sex. And if we accommodate trans people in our society...
By the way, when I say things about, like, people get FFS and still don't look great, I think this person has had FFS. I mean, if I saw this person in the street, like, maybe I'd think they're a woman, sure. But, like, appreciated Robin at least agreeing to appear and represent. Yeah, true. But then when you just appear to say nothing, then... what's the point, in a way? You know, is she really any better, than someone like Frida Wallace?
If someone becomes a trans man, they transition from female to male, then they want to live their life as male. And the law needs to treat them in their acquired gender for them effectively to live from female to people in our is more complex than biological sex. And if we accommodate trans people in our society, if someone becomes a trans man, they transition from female to male, then they want to live their life as male. And the law needs to treat them in their acquired gender.
Why? Because they want to. Wanting to be a woman doesn't make you a woman. I'm sorry to say this.
For them effectively to live in society.
How so? You still exist. Like, you use a different word than what's official. Like, is that the end of the world? I've never had a GRC. I still have been able to live my life.
And the proposed change would effectively banish trans people from their normal place in society.
Right. Well,
like, how so? This is what I mean. She says nothing.
What do you say to that, if that's the practical consequence, as Robin sees it, of the change that you are proposing?
That's nonsense. The Equality Act doesn't tell men and women how to live. If somebody wants to change their name, change their pronouns, change their style of dress, their hairstyle, call themselves what they like, some people take hormones, some very, very few people have surgery, but that is a very small minority. Most trans people don't.
Does that make me like a 1%er in that sense or something? I quite like that. I should use that.
There's nothing in the Equality Act that says that to be a man, you have to be manly, and
documents for trans say trans. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
To be a woman, you have to be womanly. It just says that employers and service providers shouldn't treat people unfairly because they're a man or a woman. And then it says there are very specific situations where you are allowed to have basically a policy or a sign on the door that says female only. And those are situations such as where women are getting undressed, where they're vulnerable, where they're sleeping. So dormitories, changing rooms, showers, communal changing rooms in the gym, mental health wards, hospital wards, women's refuges. And all of those places are places where women should be able to expect that where it says female only, it means female only. And that doesn't mean that service providers shouldn't also accommodate trans people, but they can't accommodate trans people.
Yeah, exactly. I reckon that'd be lit.
While giving women assurance that
listen, the cat's already out the bag. I've lost all the gawk lovers, so I might as well, you know what I'm saying?
space is going to be single sex and mean single sex.
Robin, what do you say in response?
It doesn't work. I mean, I'm somatically female. I transitioned.
I think she said somatically, because I think Mr. Menno used this for a song and I've heard it. But doesn't it sound a bit like semantically? I'm just making sure. Relating to the body as opposed to the mind. What does that... Well... What?
It doesn't work. I mean, I'm somatically female. I transitioned 10, 12 years ago. But the effect on non-trans people...
I'm not somatically female. I'm sorry to say.
...would be devastating. So the idea would be that trans men, who can look very male, would be expected to use female facilities, female changing rooms. And
it's not like, I don't know, places can have their own policies to a certain extent. Like, it's like they think that these things have to be like so hard and fast. And we're the ones like making problems because we're the ones insisting on changing and causing issues for the laws and stuff. So I don't know.
So you would be forcing trans people into the inappropriate facilities, which would cause great difficulty for non-trans.
Why are they inappropriate also?
Trans people, let alone the trans people who are being made to use facilities which are just not appropriate for them.
Maya?
Not at all. The Equality Act doesn't force anyone to use any particular facilities. It just makes it lawful for service providers to exclude them. And the obvious thing to do, and most large places, large venues, pubs, airports, universities and so on, already think about transgender.
Robin is sincere about belief that Robin is somatically female because his understanding of female bodies is very superficial. Fair enough. It's often the case with trans people.
People and non-binary people, and they have unisex options. So this is not about forcing somebody into a place that they don't want to be. It's about being clear about the places they're allowed to be and where they're not.
God, she looks so glum. Like, Jesus Christ. Remember Trans Joy? Can we have Trans Joy back? I know it's annoying as fuck, but like, please. I'm so tired of how dour all of us are. I know I probably can't talk, especially considering the kind of music that I make and shit like that, but like, come on. Crack a smile or something. Like, at least look like you're enjoying your life even slightly. You fucking transitioned. Like, you're good, aren't you? I don't know.
And Robin says that Robin is somatically female.
Relating to body, not mind. Shouldn't that be the other way around? I don't really expect this person to make much sense, if I'm honest.
Allowed to be and where they're not. And Robin says that Robin is somatically female. To me, I see Robin as a man. Many people see Robin as a man and be just as uncomfortable undressing in a space with Robin as any other man. And that's not to say that Robin's feelings of identity are not real. They just don't have a place in a space where women and girls are getting undressed.
Robin?
If we're going to accommodate trans people in society, then we have to accept that what the trans refers to is transition to an altered state.
Isn't that a transmed argument? Because most of us don't even believe this,
And not sending them off to some third space ghetto, which is not part of transitioning in
third space ghetto
society and being accepted as we are. The current Equality Act includes a number of exceptions where there are particular needs for additional privacy. There's a definition in terms of achieving proportionate means of achieving legitimate aim where trans people can be excluded. We would no doubt have all seen the debate in sport where it is possible in elite competitive sport for it to be lawful to exclude trans men from female events.
Yeah, I don't know that like white transsexuals should be using words like ghetto. Like, what ghetto are you near? You're a fucking lawyer. You probably make enough money to live comfortably. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
And the current legislation has those nuances and allows those nuances. What's being proposed is a complete sledgehammer that would force people into inappropriate spaces.
I mean, Maya, is this about single-sex spaces? Is this what this boils down to? Explain to our viewers why, again, the law as it is currently drafted in the way Robin has explained.
Yeah, so many of these white transsexuals act like they're like in the slums of India or something. Like, it's just not true. You have a comfortable life. You've been able to get all this fucking surgery. You're appearing on TV. You shouldn't be acting like a victim. Like, it's just gross.
Doesn't account and doesn't protect women in the way you want to see it. I mean, the clarification seems
Troons into hood, yeah.
to lead to blocking out and preventing trans people in many instances, rather than just clarifying the protection that already exists for biological women.
It doesn't matter how she answers this because people have already made up their mind that that is what she's doing. So, yeah, lovely. Love it.
This is a very limited change. So Robin says it's a sledgehammer. It's not at all. It won't affect Robin at all because Robin does not have a gender recognition certificate. Only around 5 Robin at all because Robin does not have a
What's she doing?
sledgehammer. It's not at all. It won't affect Robin at all.
Oh, thank you so much, Outgirl Outcast. Thank you.
Because Robin does not have a gender recognition certificate. Only around 5,000 people in the country have a gender recognition certificate. So most people who are trans are legally the sex that they were registered at birth because they haven't
Yep, same. I'm a man.
gone through the process of applying for a gender recognition certificate. Only 5,000 people have. And this is simply saying that those 5,000 people, for the purposes of the Equality Act, remain their biological sex and are protected against sex discrimination in their biological sex.
I like how many times does she need to explain this? It feels like she says the same thing and then Robin just says the same thing again. I guess that's how these usually go because, again, I think this person is an obfuscator, but I don't know.
As trans men, so female people who identify as men may still get pregnant. They need to be protected against sex discrimination. And so it says that there won't be 2 tiers of protection for trans people.
Yeah, it's just bouncing straight off. You see her shaking her head constantly. Like, it's just not going in. So, like, great. So there's no point. What's the point?
All trans people are protected by the protected characteristic of gender reassignment, but it doesn't change their sex. And so organisations, where they set clear policies that are based on sex, they can be confident that that's lawful and that they're not going to be sued.
Yeah,
I mean, to me, that sounds reasonable enough. I don't want to step on any women's toes. I never wanted to, you know? Like, on some level, I always knew that I wasn't actually a woman. And I always knew where I came from. Guys like this won't use third spaces. Yeah, true. Very much so. Very much true.
Isn't that's an important point, isn't it, Robin? I mean, it is also about protecting what organisations...
Yeah, because like none of these like TRA types will ever acknowledge the side of it that's about protecting women. That's the problem. Like, I don't know if I've ever heard any of these people acknowledge that that's part of the point, if not the point.
Decide to do. I mean, what do you fear so much by the proposed change, Robin? Is it that you don't actually trust perhaps the motivation, not of Maya particularly, but of the changes that may be made by the government, that you are so clear that it will be disastrous for trans people?
I have no doubt about the genuineness of Maya's beliefs and Maya's...
Yes, that's a lie. I don't believe you. I don't believe you at all. I've watched you. You're shaking your head as she speaks constantly. That's a clear indicator that what she's saying is just bouncing off of your cranium. I'm sorry.
Motivations. I'm a practical lawyer. It's the practical effect. I was in the Palace of Westminster last week.
Wait, isn't this what Alec Gunter was doing the whole time? Well, I care about like pragmatism and stuff. And what that means is you try and talk about something in like concept And it's like, yeah, but what about fucking prescriber policy right now that's not going to fuck anyone over? It's like, I didn't come to fucking talk about that. Hey, kitty cat, I hope you're good. I'm not staying on much longer because, excuse me, I need to make food at some point. But I hope you're good. It's good to see you. Undergoing voice surgery would have hurt their career, as people wouldn't have taken them seriously if they sounded like a... Yeah, oh, Jesus Christ. There's some odd things going on inside this head, unfortunately, and it's not going to work out. I don't see people like this becoming happy, but then, hey, I don't know their lives. They don't look happy. They don't present themselves as people being happy, despite presumably having a comfortable life. You know, works as a lawyer, made more money than I ever have, and I'm not doing too badly, I guess.
And asked to use the lavatory on my way to a committee room, and was shown to the female lavatories. I mean, since I transitioned 13 years ago, those are the facilities I've used, have been accepted to use, causes no difficulty that I'm using. And if this proposed change was made, then I would be forced to use male lavatories.
White people problems again.
There are unisex lavatories.
How can that be possible? How is it possible? If I try and walk into a male lavatory, I'll instantly fizzle and die. Okay. Sure, bro.
In Parliament.
I've no desire to use unit to be
desires don't...
Ghettoized. This person is like, this is white people problems as fuck. I don't like this at all.
Facilities.
Muslim women cannot use the toilet that is shared with men.
Yeah, she's supposed to simp for Muslims, right?
Your desires are not the only desires that need to be accommodated in public life.
Robin?
I'm sorry to say, that's not the response that I get from the many women I work with, that I use services with. Early in my transition...
What, that aren't Muslim? Or if they are probably Muslims that have lived in this country for a decent amount of time? Like, people tend to integrate, you know? They tend not to keep the crazy beliefs so much. I don't know. I don't like, why do this? Why do this? Maybe this is why no fucking TRAs go on these things. It's because they've got nothing. This is why I've changed my opinion so much over the last couple of years. Because I can't find any good trans arguments. I can't find any. There isn't any. Apart from, I'm a guy and I wear makeup and have long hair and none of that hurts anyone. Yeah, that's true. But I'm also not trying to trans kids and shit like that. And that does hurt people.
I joined the gym club, and the person who was running the club asked the group of women, explain my circumstances. I asked her to...
Yeah, some women are fine. Most women probably are fine with it, but you gotta be careful. You're a male, and you're trying to tell them how, like, their shit should work. Like, there's something wrong with that. This is very unfeminist.
My circumstances were explained to the other people using the club, about 20 women, and she assured me that not a single woman objected to my using those facilities. So
right.
I appreciate there is a small number of people who have a difficulty, and we need to work out...
A small number of people. Anyway.
How to accommodate them.
All right, Robin and Mike, just...
Do you think there's more Muslims or trans people in the UK? I don't know.
Just hold on for a second, because I'm going to ask the legislators here. Should the law be changed? You've heard both opinions across the divide, representing those two petitions. And Kemi Badenoch, the Women and Equalities Secretary, has written to the Equalities Watchdog asking for advice on how sex should be defined in law. Should it be changed?
Well, if we're going to fiddle about with the Equalities Act and cause a practical problem for most of the trans population, and quite a serious practical problem about actually getting out, because if you can't use facilities or are not willing to use facilities that you don't feel comfortable in and don't look as though you ought to be in, well...
Most women will never tell you how they feel. Yeah, of course, yeah.
That carries serious implications for how people are going to carry on their lives. And we need to remember that there are quite a lot of trans people. They're just hidden. They don't... people have perhaps different identities at work, and in their private life. So we just need to be very careful about making changes about the implications. That's why I tend to agree with Robin on this.
On Siobhan, what do you think? Should the law...
Well, because the Equality Act sits alongside the Gender Recognition Act, and we ducked making changes to gender.
Yes.
Having gone through an enormous consultation process, a massive amount.
Well, that was the Conservatives.
And the point being that when Maya says there are only 5,000 gender recognition certificates, that is an example of the failure of the process, because it's so difficult to get a gender recognition certificate, and so most people don't go down.
Is it difficult? I've looked into it before. It doesn't look that difficult. Like, you do some stuff, you pay whatever it is, you go to a panel of whatever that decide if you're a woman or not, or some shit, I don't know.
Well, Siobhan, what's your view? Because the Labour Party has also struggled with this issue in terms of clarity. Listening to what Maya has said, do you agree with her that there needs to be this extra protection, or this clarity, as she calls it, in terms of the Equalities Act?
My understanding, there is a need for clarity because of a High Court decision in Scotland, which looked at whether or not gender reassignment trumped sex at birth.
Yeah, Dylan Mulvaney is like way too much in my opinion. Like all that days of girlhood shit, all that like normalize the bulge. But like Dylan Mulvaney just seems like a fucking attention seeker. Like whatever they're doing, it just seems to be as many eyes on them as possible. So like, I don't know. I like gender benefit. Yeah, me too. And that's why, I don't know, I think it would be nice if we just normalized being gender non-conforming more, instead of that meaning you must be another sex, which is not possible.
I agree with Maya. I think the Act should be changed. I think my understanding of it is there's 3 provisions in the 8 characteristics protected in the Act.
Might be reading too much into it, but notice the man agreed with the man and the woman agreed with the woman.
Which again, the Act was a great triumph for Harriet Harman, who we were speaking about earlier, and they include sex, gender reassignment and sexual orientation. And there are a small number of services, prisons, we've seen from Scotland, NHS services, social care services, where women who say they want to be treated by women or who need that security, it's women who are in the main victims of violence, that these protections should really exist.
All right, very briefly, Robin and Maya, just a final thought responding to the MPs. Robin first.
There really isn't any evidence that there's a problem in the NHS. A trans organisation.
Oh, a gender recognition certificate makes it illegal to detransit? Jesus Christ. Wow. I mean, that would be fine for me because I don't plan on detransitioning. There'd be no point anyway. You can't get your penis back when it's been like, you know. Yeah, the fortune wheels thing, pre-transition. I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen bits of it anyway. Not for me. I don't really like this like loud, obnoxious, shouty kind of shit. So yeah, I don't take Dylan Mulvaney seriously, just in general. I think that attitude has served me quite well, you know.
Made a Freedom of Information Act request of all the NHS trusts across the country, and there wasn't a problem.
All right, and Maya, finally a thought, responding to what Crispin had said?
We hear every day from women who are self-excluding from services and who are being bullied and harassed because they say they simply want to be treated by women or to have a single-sex service. The Equality Act is meant to protect everyone in the country, and this clarity would allow it to do that.
All right, Maya Forstatter and Robin Moira-White, thank you both very much.
There we go. Well, it's almost 7. I probably need to stop in a minute. Yeah, how are we doing? Make sure you like the stream, even though it's ending soon. How are we doing? That was quite interesting. He's got a big collection of porn. There's every chance. I don't know how much stuff there is about this person out there. Like, I don't know. There's no arguments. That's the problem. When you actually hear someone like talking to someone, it puts people like Richie Herron, who have detrans, in serious risk of being criminalized. Yeah, it's tricky, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. I didn't really know that, to be honest. Dylan is a classic case of narcissistic fame chasing. Yep, hard agree. But yeah, I'm gonna stop. I need to make food. I need to chill. I probably need to make more videos because I have editing that needs doing. That's how it is. But hey, thank you all for watching. I love all of you so much. You're so kind to watch me and listen to my shit. But yeah, I know. Have a nice day. Have a nice evening. Whatever you're doing. I love all of you.